chapter 3, internetworking. So switching and bridging we have to talk about. So before that, we have uh, talked about the point-to-point dedicated link, shared bus topology and ring topologies. Now scalability problem can be essentially solved by the star topology, which is this. So now the nodes are not exactly directly connected, but instead this router or the switch in between acts as an interface between any two source and receiver. So how does this occur? First, the message is received and the address is attached in front of the message. So here you can see that there can be a conglomeration of these three PCs, and it is all connected to this first one. Similarly, you can see there is one switch here which is connected to host E and host F, and similarly, switch 3 is connected to these three. So the ones which are connected to the same one, we will get a forwarding table for switch 2. So forwarding table for switch 2 denotes that how far is the particular device from that switch. So how to establish connection between them? So this is done by sending a message in form of incoming port, incoming VCI, outgoing port, and outgoing VCI. So the connection from A to B have a VCI of 5 times to the A of S link, and the entry is as follows. So if the message is sent in this format, that 2 5 1 11, that incoming is 2 interface and incoming VCI is 5, then outgoing interface is 1 and outgoing VCI is 11. So when this message is transmitted from switch 1 and it received by switch 2, then it will determine that the incoming interference is 3 and incoming VCI is 11. As here you can see 11, and that outgoing interface be 2 and the outgoing VCI be 7. So these are all determined by reading the forwarding table. So actually you don't need to worry about these values. Forwarding table will be provided if there is any question regarding this during the exam. And how are this connection table or virtual tables created? So this is done by what simple strategy that first of all you the network administrator can make the forwarding table for a very long lasting circuit. For a short lived connection, there can be a connection which can be interpreted from the already prepared map, or you can make it from the learning algorithm as well. So now let's compare the differences between and the similarity between datagram and virtual circuit. A data packet can be just sent, no setup required in datagram, whereas connection setup packet need to be exchanged, which is the acknowledgement packet and the transmission packet, which it tells to that it is going to transmit before transmission. Similarly, forwarding point where every packet need to look at the table for the size which is proportional to the number of hosts in network. But here in this one, the connection is set to look up at the table for the size, the proportion of active connections going through this particular switch. Data packets have full destination address when transmission, whereas here it will have only the VCI field, which is the switch, which is it targeted. So the addresses change after receiving from one switch to another, and it is changed and sent to the next switch. Then data package is sent and there is no way of knowing because there is no acknowledgement here. Since it's a connection setup, there is an acknowledgement strategy involved, and here each packet is routed independently. So every time the table has to be checked up once, and once here the connection is set up, the same path is followed again and again. Then this is resilient to switch or link failure. It can fail and won't be able to know about it. Here it will break the connection itself if there is a mistransportation of the packet. And the routing table is needed for every data packet. And here once the connection is established, then we don't require it. In virtual circuit switching, buffers are allocated. Buffers are those devices or parts of the switches where extra packets can be stored for a brief amount of time if the outgoing and ingoing are different. That means if incoming is more than outgoing, then the incoming packets are stored in the buffer, and once the channel is quite free in outgoing, then the packets can be released. Then bridging and LAN switching. So bridging and LAN switching is actually involved using the strategy that bridge is itself a small switch which is just designed to transmit from a particular port to some other port, whereas LAN is the entire circuit of connection of networking devices. So if we want to transmit from one LAN to another LAN, we could have used an actual switch or bus, which would have been expensive because of the reason that it requires many connections. So for only connecting two LANs, we don't need such expensive device. So bridge is a cheap alternative for the bus or the actual switch in the circuit. Uh, then how does this bridges are implemented? So just as we said in the previous example that if they are long lasting, there is a way that the administrators can itself design a forwarding or connection map. But in case they don't know about how to connect, then there is a learning algorithm, and it is utilized by these learning bridges that they find the fastest method of connecting two LANs together. So, for example, if A wants to send a frame to B, then A1 will be the code that A is transmitting to the port 1. Now, if B responds to A, it is not allowed to send on port B because now it is knowing that B is on port A is on port 1. So, it will also connect to port 1. So, it will get the other code B1. Now, if X wants to send a frame to A, it cannot use port 1 because it is already involved in the link between A and B. So it will be assigned X2, and here next will be A2, so that A will link to get connected to X. So these are learning bridges. So this automatically learns us and finds the best connection between two LAN. Then the method makes one very important assumption that there is only one port which a frame from a certain source can come. So LAN connections cannot loop. So that is a strategy which is implemented using the tree spanning method. Radia Berryman invented a protocol called the spanning tree protocol, where the smallest address transmitter will be allowed to transmit messages, and this message will so on transmit to other routers or the switches. And once they receive, they will disconnect all the looping possibilities. So the one which will have the least address, it is called the root port from which transmission will occur. Then the LAN selects uh, one bridge that forwards the frames from this LAN to the root, and this is called the designated bridge of the LAN. If two or more bridges are closely equal to the root, then the smaller one will win the tie between them. If the port of the bridge is neither a root nor a designated port, then it is blocked or deactivated. And even though the algorithm is a spanning tree algorithm, nodes that correspond to the bridge can disconnect completely. The spanning tree protocol runs periodically so that looping doesn't occur. And if there is a connection issue somewhere, then this tree can be rebuilt by running this algorithm again. And finally, Ethernet switching. Ethernet is a device which is the natural progression for bridging. So this is a 24 port D-Link Ethernet switch you can see here. So this technology is involved for directly connecting the host to each other without the requirement of switch in between. So with this thought, it is easy to realize that we will work with expected if the LAN A, B, C were not LAN but host. Ethernet switches example which are determined to implement this spanning tree protocol. So this will be everything for the mid-sem exam. You can take handwritten notes as told by ma'am. And if you want to note some important subjective parts, then you will be free to do. And that will be all, I think. So all the best for your mid-sems. Thank you so much.